Have you ever wondered what truly lies beneath the narcissist's impenetrable mask? What if I told you that behind all that outward confidence, that facade of invincibility, lurks an ocean of pain, fear, and deep-seated insecurity? Most people only ever see their selfishness and cruelty. But the truth is far more complex. Today we're going behind the curtain to expose the 20 most painful pressure points, the 20 Achilles heels that every narcissist desperately tries to hide from the world and, most importantly, from themselves. You'll learn exactly what causes them unbearable suffering and why their reactions to the most mundane things can be so explosive and disproportionate. This knowledge might not only shock you, but will also give you a powerful tool for understanding their behavior and protecting your own boundaries. So, settle in, because we are about to dive deep into the darkest corners of the narcissistic soul. Before we jump into listing these pressure points, let's pause for a moment and understand exactly what we're dealing with. Who is the narcissist? In this context, they are not just a self-obsessed person, they are an individual carrying deep internal trauma. Imagine a building with an incredibly beautiful, imposing facade, yet inside that structure there is only emptiness and ruin. The narcissist spends their entire life maintaining this facade, their false self, the grandiose image they present to the world. Meanwhile, their true self, small, terrified and vulnerable, is hidden so deeply that even they are afraid to look at it. All their energy is consumed by trying to extract external validation for their greatness, what we call narcissistic supply. Without this supply, adoration, attention, or the fear of others, that facade begins to crack, exposing the underlying emptiness. That is why any strike against this facade doesn't just cause offense, it triggers a panic-driven existential terror. Understanding this core mechanism is the key to everything we are about to discuss. So, the first and perhaps the most devastating torment for a narcissist is being ignored. For a normal person, being overlooked is simply unpleasant. But for a narcissist, it is tantamount to death. Remember when we talked about the facade and the supply? Other people's attention is the cement that holds their grandiose image together. When you ignore them, you aren't just denying them attention. You are essentially telling them you do not exist. You are cutting off their oxygen supply. Imagine an actor stepping onto the stage, ready to give the performance of a lifetime, and the entire audience just stands up and silently walks out. This triggers not just simple anger, but full-blown narcissistic rage. They might start stalking you, trying desperately to provoke any reaction, even a negative one, because negative attention is always better than none at all. They will do anything necessary to get back on your radar. Complete indifference on your part is the most powerful weapon you possess against them because it strikes at the very core of their fragile identity, confirming their deepest, most fundamental fear, the fear of being absolutely nothing. The narcissist's next major vulnerability, the one that causes them actual physical distress, is criticism. Any criticism, even if it's perfectly constructive and delivered with the best of intentions. In their self-concept, they are flawless. They are the epitome of perfection. Any remark, any suggestion that they might have made a mistake or handled something incorrectly is not received as feedback. Instead, it's interpreted as the total invalidation of their entire being. It's a direct hit to their grandiose facade. They don't actually hear you say, maybe we could try doing it this way instead. What they hear is, you're worthless, you're a failure, you're completely wrong. Their mind is simply incapable of separating the critique of an action from the assessment of the self. In return, you will never get gratitude or thoughtful reflection. Instead, you'll face either a furious, raging attack where they accuse you of every imaginable sin, or cold contempt aimed at completely invalidating you. They will insist you are criticizing them solely out of jealousy, ignorance, or maliciousness. For a narcissist, admitting they were wrong is equivalent to admitting they are fundamentally worthless, and that level of ego threat is simply intolerable. Let's move on to the narcissist's ultimate nightmare: public humiliation. If one-on-one criticism is merely a painful sting, then being exposed or humiliated in public is a nuclear strike against their ego. The audience is their lifeblood, their primary source of supply. They are the mirrors reflecting their supposed grandeur. And when those mirrors reflect ridicule, contempt, or worse, pity instead of admiration, their entire world shatters. Losing face, being mocked, having their incompetence exposed before an audience, that means shattering the meticulously constructed facade they spent their entire life building. The resulting reaction can be terrifying. A narcissist will never forgive the person they hold responsible for their public disgrace. They will seek revenge. It will be calculated, cold, and utterly vicious. They will try to systematically destroy the reputation of their perceived offender, spreading malicious rumors and doing anything necessary to reclaim that shattered sense of control and superiority. This inherent fear of public humiliation is precisely why they so aggressively guard information about themselves and work tirelessly to project an aura of complete infallibility. The fourth trigger that pushes the narcissist over the edge is, without a doubt, losing control. A narcissist is a master manipulator and controller. They desperately need to micromanage everyone and everything around them, people's opinions of them, their behavior, their emotions, and the entire flow of events. This total control creates an illusion of security and omnipotence. They genuinely believe that if they are steering the ship, nothing bad will happen, they won't be exposed, and they won't be abandoned. When something deviates from their personal script, when people act unexpectedly, or when circumstances slip out of their grasp, the narcissist immediately spirals into panic. That panic quickly morphs into explosive rage. They instantly start blaming everyone else, creating dramatic scenes, and trying to forcibly, or through heavy manipulation, snatch back the reins of power. A partner's independent behavior, a child voicing their own opinion, or unforeseen problems at work, these aren't just normal life situations to them. They are perceived as a direct and existential threat to the narcissist's stability. They simply cannot tolerate the fact that the world does not revolve around them, and they are incapable of dictating rules to the universe. Losing control means confronting reality, and reality, for the narcissist, is the ultimate enemy. Trigger number 5, the one that causes a narcissist agonizing pain, is the success of others. This is especially true when it involves people in their immediate circle, those they consider direct rivals. The narcissist lives in a constant state of comparison. It's not enough for them to be good, they must be the absolute best. Therefore, when someone else gets a promotion, buys a new car, takes a lavish vacation, or simply seems happy in their relationship, the narcissist interprets this as a devastating personal defeat. In their mind, success is a finite, zero-sum resource. If someone else takes a large slice of the pie, it automatically means there is less left for them. This doesn't just cause mild irritation, it triggers dark, corrosive, poisonous envy. They will immediately try to discredit the other person's achievement, often using phrases like, "they just got lucky," "that success isn't real," or "they're not actually that great." The narcissist might start avoiding the successful acquaintance entirely, or conversely, they might try to befriend them, just to bask in the reflected glory of their success. But internally, a storm of envy and deep-seated inadequacy will be raging. Someone else's triumph is a stark, painful reminder of everything the narcissist feels they are missing, and they simply cannot bear it. Now let's discuss the perpetual dread that haunts every narcissist. This is the terror of being ordinary, average, or completely unremarkable. Their entire identity is built upon the premise of their own exceptionalism. They truly believe they are not like everyone else. They see themselves as smarter, more talented, better looking, fundamentally superior. This absolute conviction forms the very foundation of their self-worth. The mere suggestion that they might be simply one of the crowd, that their life and accomplishments aren't actually as grandiose as they claim, fills them with sheer dread. This is exactly why narcissists are so prone to bragging, exaggerating their merits, and surrounding themselves with clear status symbols. They require constant external validation to confirm their unique status. When life forces them to confront reality, for instance, they miss out on a desired promotion, or their flagship project completely fails to impress, they plunge into a profound emotional crisis. They simply cannot tolerate the idea that they might be average or mediocre in any area. Consequently, they either spiral into depression or double down on fabricating the illusion of their superiority, sometimes escalating their efforts to the point of outright absurdity. For the narcissist, being ordinary isn't just a failure, it's an existential threat. The seventh major vulnerability is the exposure of his lies. The narcissist's entire world is fabricated, a fragile tapestry woven from half-truths, distortions, and outright falsehoods. He lies to elevate his status, control others, evade responsibility, and craft his desired image. Lies are his primary tool of manipulation. What's crucial is that he genuinely believes his own fabrications are the truth. When someone catches him in a lie and presents undeniable evidence, it causes a short circuit in his brain. It is a direct, devastating blow to his illusory world. His subsequent reaction is predictable and universally known as gaslighting. He will never confess. Instead, he will vehemently deny the undeniable truth. He will claim you misunderstood everything, that the event never happened, that you are crazy, or that you are trying to manipulate him. He will flip the script so aggressively that you begin to question your own sanity and perception of reality. He will attack, accuse, and scream. All of this is merely a defensive maneuver. To acknowledge the lie means admitting that his perfect persona is a sham, which is tantamount to the total destruction of his fragile sense of self. He will defend that fabrication to the bitter end, no matter how utterly irrational or absurd his defense appears. Next comes the crucial process of establishing personal boundaries. For the narcissist, other people aren't seen as separate individuals with their own desires and needs. They are merely an extension of himself, functions, objects that exist solely to satisfy his demands. And this is why, when you tell a narcissist a firm no, when you clearly define your boundaries and refuse to do what he requires, he doesn't see it as your legitimate right. He sees it as rebellion, as an act of betrayal. He genuinely cannot grasp how his own hand or foot could possibly refuse his command. This initial confusion rapidly escalates into explosive anger. He will attempt to break through those boundaries using every possible tactic: intense pressure, relentless pleading, emotional blackmail, or accusations that you are selfish. You will hear manipulative lines like, "How can you treat me this way after everything I've done for you?" If you hold firm and refuse to give in to the manipulation, he may either fly into a full-blown narcissistic rage, or he might switch gears and sulk dramatically, withdrawing his precious attention and favor. Respecting other people's boundaries is fundamentally impossible for him because, in his world, there is only one will and one set of needs, his own. The ninth devastating blow for a narcissist is being dumped. This is especially true if the partner is the one who initiates the breakup. A narcissist must always be the one who walks away. They have to be the one deciding when the relationship ends. This preserves their vital sense of control and superiority. When they leave, it's because they've found someone better or because the partner wasn't worthy. But when they are the one who gets left, their entire worldview collapses. And this is the deepest, most terrifying rejection they can possibly imagine. It sends a direct message: you are not good enough. This strikes directly at their most vulnerable spot, their self-esteem. They don't just experience heartache, they feel pure humiliation and white-hot rage. They simply cannot accept that they, this supposedly perfect individual, have been rejected. This is precisely why narcissists so often begin stalking or pursuing former partners, attempting to win them back not out of love, but purely to restore their damaged ego. They need the partner to return so they can then discard them themselves, ensuring they get the final word. If they fail to reel the partner back in, they will turn to revenge and launch a vicious smear campaign, telling everyone what a truly awful person the ex-partner actually was. For a certain type of narcissist, the so-called somatic type, who build their sense of grandiosity on appearance, physical strength and attractiveness, there is one unavoidable and horrifying enemy: time. Aging and the loss of physical appeal represent the slow and agonizing death of their false self. Their body is their primary asset. It is the main engine of their narcissistic supply. They command admiration solely through their beauty, sexuality, and athletic physique. The moment the first wrinkles appear, grey hairs surface, or their body begins to lose its tone, they fall into a state of panic. This quickly spirals into an obsession. They may spend vast sums of money on cosmetic treatments and plastic surgery, and subject themselves to grueling diets and brutal workouts, all in a desperate attempt to cheat nature. They cling fiercely to their fading youth because, without their external appeal, they feel utterly hollow and worthless. They cannot accept the natural progression of life because they genuinely see no inherent value in themselves beyond that beautiful exterior shell. It is truly a tragic spectacle when a person's entire identity is held hostage by their reflection in the mirror. Item number 11 is financial failure. For many narcissists, especially the cerebral or elitist types, money and status are a direct equivalent to their personal worth. Wealth isn't just a means to a comfortable life, it serves as proof of their superiority, their intelligence, and their success. It's a fundamental tool of power and control over others. Therefore, any financial loss, whether it's a bad investment, bankruptcy, or even a simple drop in income, is viewed by them as an earth-shattering catastrophe. This isn't just about losing money, it's a loss of face, a loss of status, and the erosion of their very identity. They will conceal their financial troubles until the very last moment, desperately maintaining the illusion of affluence. They may rack up enormous debt just to keep up appearances and continue living the high life. Admitting financial ruin is unthinkable for them. It would mean admitting they are a failure, and for a narcissist there is nothing worse. They would sooner blame anyone, the government, their partners, the economic crisis, than ever acknowledge their own mistake or poor judgment. Think of a plant that never gets watered. It wilts, it withers, and eventually dies off. A narcissist experiences the exact same decline when they are deprived of admiration. To them, this admiration is their water, their sunlight. This constant influx of attention, compliments, flattery, and approval is what we call narcissistic supply. But when that supply stream dries up, the narcissist goes into a genuine state of withdrawal. They become irritable, anxious, and can spiral into deep apathy or depression. They will desperately hunt for new sources of supply, They might start provoking conflicts just to secure some form of attention. Even negative attention will do. They might stage dramatic displays of suffering just to elicit pity. They'll call up old acquaintances, post provocative photos on social media, do absolutely anything to get someone to notice them and validate their significance. For them, life without constant admiration is empty and utterly meaningless. They are like an emotional vampire who needs other people's energy just to survive. That is why they are so terrified of being alone, not in the physical sense of solitude, but in the sense of having no audience left to admire them. One more thing that causes a severe narcissistic injury that cuts them to the core is being compared unfavorably. As we've established, a narcissist must be the best at everything. When someone points out, either directly or indirectly, that another person is smarter, more talented, more successful, or simply handled a task better, it instantly triggers narcissistic rage. They cannot tolerate the slightest hint that they are not number one. For instance, if a boss praises a colleague, the narcissist perceives this as a personal attack. They will immediately start picking apart that colleague's performance, devaluing their work, and finding ways to prove that they, the narcissist, are actually far superior. Their typical reaction will be, "What did they even accomplish? I could have done that 100 times better. I just wasn't given the proper opportunity." This is a crucial defense mechanism that helps them maintain the illusion of their own superiority. They cannot genuinely be happy for others because in their eyes, someone else's success automatically diminishes their own. For the narcissist, the world is a constant, ruthless competition, and they must win at any cost, even if it means tearing down everyone around them. The 14th point, and this one might seem minor, but it's excruciatingly painful for a narcissist, is simply not being taken seriously. A narcissist sees themselves as a highly important, highly significant person. Their thoughts are strokes of genius, their jokes are razor-sharp wit, and their stories are absolutely riveting. They expect everyone around them to hang on their every word, breathlessly, treating their pronouncements with the utmost reverence and respect. Therefore, when someone cracks a joke at their expense, expresses irony about their grand plans, or simply checks out during one of their monologues, the narcissist flies into a terrifying rage. They view this as the ultimate act of disrespect and invalidation. They possess zero self-irony. They simply cannot laugh at themselves. To them, any joke directed their way is a deliberate attempt to humiliate them. In response, they might either create a huge scene, accusing you of rudeness and contempt, or they might silently nurse the grudge and seek retribution later. They desperately need to be taken seriously because deep down, the narcissist doesn't actually believe in their own importance. They live in constant fear that others will see that the emperor has no clothes. Narcissists actively strive to make their loved ones completely dependent on them, be it emotionally, financially, or socially. This dependence gives them absolute power and control. So when their partner, child, or friend starts showing independence and achieving success without their direct involvement, it triggers a complex mix of anger and deep-seated fear in the narcissist. They immediately perceive this as a direct threat. If the dependent person becomes self-sufficient, they might leave. They won't need the narcissist anymore, meaning the narcissist loses their reliable source of supply and control. This is why they frequently sabotage the success of those closest to them. They might devalue achievements, saying things like, "Big deal, a promotion." They barely pay anything there anyway. Criticize new ventures. "You'll never succeed at that." Or induce massive guilt. "You spend all your time on your job while I'm stuck here all alone." They will do everything they can to keep the person close and maintain their dependence. An independent and successful partner is a narcissist's absolute nightmare, because such a partner could, at any moment, recognize the narcissist's true insignificance and simply walk away. It might sound paradoxical, but genuine displays of empathy and compassion from other people can actually cause a narcissist profound discomfort and even outright irritation. Why is that? Firstly, they simply don't understand these emotions. Empathy is the ability to truly feel what another person is experiencing. Narcissists are almost entirely devoid of this capacity. To them, it's like a foreign language they've never studied. They see the outward display of emotion but fail to grasp its essence, and this confusion is fundamentally frightening. Secondly, genuine kindness and compassion remind the narcissist of their own deficiency, that they are incapable of experiencing such feelings. It highlights their internal void and deep sense of hollowness. Thirdly, they perceive empathy as a profound weakness. In their harsh, zero-sum world where everyone is fighting for dominance, compassion is an unforgivable luxury. They may even despise people who show empathy, viewing them as naive fools who are easily manipulated and exploited. That's why, in response to your attempts at compassion, they might react coldly, sarcastically, or even aggressively. This is merely a defense mechanism, a way to shield themselves from the incomprehensible and alien world of genuine human emotion. What happens when a survivor of narcissistic abuse finally finds the strength to leave and start a new life? They typically go through stages of anger, pain, and resentment. But the ultimate stage of healing is indifference, and it is this indifference combined with forgiveness, not for the narcissist but for yourself, that truly causes the narcissist immense pain. As long as you hate them, as long as you are suffering, you are still emotionally connected to them. They still occupy space in your head. They are still extracting supply from you, even if that supply is negative. But when you become absolutely indifferent to them, when their attempts to provoke you no longer work, when you are simply living your happy life and don't even spare them a thought, that is their true defeat. It means they have completely lost control over you. They can no longer feed off your emotions. Your happiness and your indifference are the most powerful evidence of their insignificance in your life, and the realization of this is unbearable for them. They have been erased from your reality, and as we know, that is their deepest, darkest fear. The narcissist lives by the firm belief that they are special, which means the rules simply don't apply to them. Laws, social norms, and agreements are for mere mortals. They are, after all, above such trivialities. They can show up late, break promises, violate the law, and genuinely believe they will suffer no consequences. That's why facing the inevitable consequences of their actions is always a profound shock and an overwhelming sense of injustice. When they get fired for chronic tardiness, when their partner leaves them over infidelity, or when they get a ticket for illegal parking, they never see their own culpability. Instead, they see malice, the unfairness of the world, or the envy of their enemies. They will scream that they were set up, that everyone is against them. They are completely unable to connect their actions with the resulting consequences. Having to accept responsibility for their behavior shatters their illusion of omnipotence and impunity, and this painful crash brings them back down to earth. Despite the facade of invulnerability they wear, narcissists, like anyone else, occasionally get sick, feel exhausted, or need assistance. And these moments of personal vulnerability are exceptionally difficult for them to cope with. Sickness, weakness, or having to ask for help, all these are viewed as signs of utter worthlessness. It completely shatters their carefully constructed image as an independent, strong superhuman. This is why a sick narcissist often becomes absolutely intolerable. They might either deny their illness completely, continuing to act as if nothing is wrong. thereby worsening their own condition. Or they swing to the opposite extreme, demanding minute-by-minute attention, turning into a petty tyrant, and using their sickness as a tool for manipulation to induce guilt in those around them. They hate being dependent on others. They despise feeling helpless. It reminds them of that vulnerable inner child they work so hard to hide away. Therefore, they will do everything possible to quickly regain that sense of strength and control, even if it means terrorizing everyone around them. And finally, the 20th point, the narcissist's deepest, most existential dread, is genuine, authentic loneliness. We're not talking about simply being alone in a room. We're talking about a profound, piercing sense of absolute disconnection from all of humanity. The narcissist is incapable of true emotional intimacy. They cannot genuinely love, form real friendships, or empathize. All of their relationships are superficial and transactional. They use people, but they never truly connect on a soul level. But in those rare moments of silence, when the audience is gone and there's nothing left to distract them, they are forced to confront the chilling, paralyzing emptiness inside. They realize they are utterly alone in the universe, that no one truly knows them or could possibly love them. This feeling of total isolation is so unbearable that they immediately try to suppress it, drowning it out with alcohol, work, chasing new victims, or anything else they can grab onto. They are constantly fleeing this internal void, and this is why they cling so desperately to people, terrified of being left alone, forced to confront the truth that behind their magnificent constructed facade there is actually nothing and no one at all. Okay, so we've just broken down 20 weak points, 20 cracks in the narcissist's armor. And what have we observed? Beneath that mask of omnipotence and grandiosity, we don't find a terrifying monster. Instead, we find a scared, perpetually needy, and deeply insecure child trapped in an adult body. A child who desperately requires constant validation and proof of their existence from the outside world, because internally there is only a gaping void. Understanding these mechanisms is not a call to pity narcissists or to excuse their destructive behavior. Absolutely not. Their pain is their own responsibility. However, this knowledge gives you power. It transforms you from a confused victim into an informed observer. You start seeing not their perceived greatness, but their fundamental weakness. You realize that their anger and attacks are not your fault. They are simply their agony playing out. And this knowledge allows you to detach emotionally, maintain your boundaries, and ultimately gain your freedom. Thank you so much for watching this difficult yet essential video all the way through. If you found this topic useful, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our future deep dives. And of course, don't forget to ring that notification bell. Now, I have a question for you. Which of these narcissistic vulnerabilities have you personally encountered? What was the most unexpected reaction you witnessed? Please share your stories in the comments below. Let's discuss this together and support one another.